Welcome back to the FanSpeak Network and another episode of Friends of Best Ball. And I cannot wait to introduce you to my guests this very exciting Friday. But first, we will play the opening. That's right. We are Friends of Best Ball every single Friday. And this Friday, I am joined by my friend, Tyler. You can find him in the Twitter streets at emo_cowboy. So Tyler, thank you very much for being my friend of Best Ball Day. How are you doing on this Friday holiday weekend?
I'm doing fantastic. Thanks for having me. This is going to be fun. I'm excited.
Absolutely. You can also be sure to tell people, find him on Twitter. He's a great best ball follow. I love following him, interacting with about best ball stuff on the Twitter space, X, whatever you want to call it. But you can also find him on the Fantasy Sanctuary with the great Tom Strachan every Monday. So tell us a little more about what you guys do on Mondays.
Yeah, so Tom and I linking up every Monday afternoon, 4 Central, 5 Eastern right now seems to be the time slot we're kind of finding. On a very jam-packed Monday, full of best ball content these days. We do BBMs. It's Tom's way to get back into the underdog streets, and my way to get some really, really strong information with him and all the awesome work that he and Rich do with the Fantasy Sanctuary team. So I think it's a fantastic spot to get information and just get some good vibes, good hangs on Mondays, coming back home from work, or decompressing after a work day, or hitting the gym, whatever. So we try to keep it lively, but jam-packed with information. So, I think it's a good time on Mondays.
Yeah, absolutely. And you mentioned about Tom, he's over in UK, I believe, right?
Yeah, he's
so you guys have to work out that time difference.
Yeah, he's getting off at like Monday, midnight Mondays when
you finish up.
Yeah.
Okay, what time is it Eastern time again for people?
5. I think it's 5 Eastern. Yeah.
5 Eastern. Okay, yeah, so that is late for him. Yeah, but
yeah, it's a long day for him. But you're getting, it's that third eye flow state at that point. At that, he's hopefully seeing into the future right before he goes to bed.
Exactly, like you said, anything to get him some underdog action. So, and obviously, Tom is a great Twitter follow too. Tom will be on Friends of Best Ball, I believe, in a couple weeks. So,
awesome! There you go.
Having all the best, and I love it. We got a few in chat. I believe Bindles, GM.
Oh yeah,
Handsome Devil. They want to know about the Sosin hat.
Saosin, yeah.
Saosin, I can't pronounce it.
That's their limited Compton drop with the green bottom. So I try to change up the background for the people every stream. Got to have some emo stuff. Got to have my nerd stuff. It's got to get some interesting stuff for the background for the viewers. It can't just be all my face.
Okay. Well, your face is great, but I love the interesting background. Okay, I'm going to ask you just a few best ball questions to get to know you as the Tyler, the best ball guy, and then we're going to rip a BBM draft together. I said it's up to you. Do you want to do it together or each do our own? So we're going to be fine splitting 1.5 mil. So we're going to rip a BBM draft together here shortly. But how long? Well, first of all, where are you located? And do you have a favorite diehard team that you lean into?
I'm a Houston local, born and raised, Texas through and through. Thus, the
Texas
cowboy
forever.
part of my emo. Yes, I did ride horses growing up. Yes, I did bale hay. Yes, I did spread horse manure. Yes, I've dug ditches. Yes, I sweat my balls off every summer doing cardio clubs. It's insane. So yeah, Houston born and raised on the south end. I'm not going to dox myself like Jacob Sanderson. But yeah, that's where I'm at, and but it's a good hub to travel from. And,
definitely, kind of middle there, yeah.
Oh yeah. So when Underdog does some New York stuff, like the cardio club last year in Brooklyn, I'll hop on a quick flight, and
So you were there last year?
Oh yeah. Nice. I went with Pete last year. He was as a spin instructor. All he knew was tell us to pump harder and get out of the saddle.
I love spin classes. I got to get back to spin classes. So
That was
yeah,
my first ever, and doing that right off the
it's
plane,
no joke. Yeah.
I was very tight the next day in the airport, sitting there like, oh, my legs.
How was your cardio club draft? How did that go? Like how do you feel
Uh,
about your
you,
draft doing it
you
live?
know what? It wasn't terrible.
Okay.
It wasn't my favorite, but I think I hung in there. I think it was just one of those things where I had a Seattle bet, and that didn't really pay off until it was too late. But
Right.
it
Right.
was good. It was a really fun rep. I ended up just doing a lot more underdog cardio club drafts, and famously those were my best teams in BBM. So
Well, that's
I think
good.
my ADHD needs to get moving and rolling to really focus.
Okay, I like it. So you're obviously going to be hitting a lot of the cardio club drafts
Oh
this.
yeah.
Okay, love it.
Oh yeah.
So are you a diehard Texans fan?
No, I gave up my laundry bro fanship
You
a long
did.
time ago.
Okay.
That team broke me. I mean, we want to talk about the I know better draft picks. Famously, I was Khalil Mack over Clowney, and boy was that right. Not taking quarterbacks for years on end, giving Brock all that money. I mean, it was a disaster. And then the ownership stuff was,
Yeah.
not great. And Cal McNair, I think, is kind of he does not have a really great reputation as a nepo baby that played video games and didn't know anything about the team until his,
Right.
Bob passed.
Right.
So stuff like that, just it always rubbed me the wrong way. Bill O'Brien was such a huge ass. Um, but then they took Watson, and I was like almost bought back in
You're
just because
almost
like
in. Yeah.
he was just so terrific. And then he was a giant POS. So it's like, you know what? I enjoy rooting for players and doing fantasy. I will go to games, but I by no means give a rat's ass about the local team. So I'm happy about Stroud.
I was gonna
That's
say, so the
cool.
Stroud season didn't bring you back? Like, didn't
I,
spook
I
you
I
back?
love the players. Yeah,
Yeah.
Stroud, Nico, Tank. I love the players. I really do. And I love D'Amico. D'Amico coming back
Yeah.
as like a former
Yeah.
linebacker that I watched just play awesome at a high level, now be the coach. Like the vibes are awesome, but that doesn't mean I have to be a fan. I'm a fan of
Okay.
those
Right.
guys. I don't
Okay.
care about the team.
And it
Also,
certainly makes it easier playing
oh
fantasy
yeah,
to not have those,
yeah.
like you said, laundry
I also
loyalties.
I also hate the uniforms. The logo's kind of stupid. The new uniforms are a mess. As a guy that does care about art and colors,
Right.
that stuff is just agitating. And then Houston fans, I mean, every fan base is kind of
Stupid.
annoying and dumb, but ours is uniquely so because they
I think
really
every
haven't been.
fan base is a little bit, you feel that way.
Some
So,
fan bases have been like broken and they can be reasoned with, like the
mhm.
Browns and the Jets, but the Houston people are in like this limbo state that it's like
Yeah.
you just got to come to terms with who this team is, and
Right.
they always see the upside, they never see the downside. So it's
Well, I'm a Washington fan, so I can appreciate basically everything you've just said.
yeah,
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 yeah, I know. I absolutely know. Now let's talk some basketball stuff.
hell yeah.
So have you been in the last few years in the underdog streets? Have you been? I've kind of progressively gotten more and more. I kind of started getting in. I dabbled in like BBM2, then really got in BBM3, made the finals that year. Then a lot more last year, and it's going to be a lot more this year. So has it been progressively more? Have you been in since like the beginning of Underdog?
I started right when it started my first year, and I just used it as like, hey, I love fantasy. I'm addicted to drafting.
Mm-hmm.
And instead of doing useless mocks that no one takes
Yeah.
seriously, so I was in those like 12 and 10-man leagues. I did like 100 of those my first year because I was also like getting back. I was trying to like every year for several years outside of college, I was like, I want to get in better shape and be more physically fit. And so when I discovered that, I was like, oh, perfect. Walks have gotten boring before I got into podcasts. I was like, I need something to do while I walk.
Uh-huh.
As an undiagnosed person that was like, why am I so bored if I'm not doing three things at the same time? So I was like, oh, I could just draft these fantasy teams. And so I remember vividly being way too in on players like OBJ and things like that, and just being like, oh, I got the skeleton. So took a bath, and that was like the year I learned. I was like, I really enjoy this UI. I really enjoy this,
Yeah.
these self-contained leagues. And I played like with friends with those like little private leagues
Yeah.
and stuff like that. and then it was like, okay, I have a lot to learn. This is much different than what I'm used to with these things. And I don't do a lot of home leagues anymore because there's so much work. I care
Too
way
much
more
work.
than most
Yeah.
other people. Yeah. I do one league now, but for best ball. So then the next year I was like, I want to do more of these. I want to do better. I think I can make some money doing it ROI wise. But then I was
Right.
like, oh, there's tournaments. Let me mess around with these tournaments. And so I like doubled 200 drafts, which I thought over the years, like that's so, and everybody's like, that's crazy. That's so many. Found Pete's content, and then ETR started tweeting more about it. And I
Right.
followed those guys for like standard league stuff. And
Sure.
then just, obsessive, got real deep in it. And so last year, heaviest volume, I think it was like nearly 600 teams across Underdog and Drafters and
DraftKings.
yeah. I can't mess with the DraftKings UI.
I don't like DraftKings. I don't like the DraftKings UI either. I don't like it, and I'm not as good on it. My results just aren't as good. I'm clearly a touchdown hunter. I'm an underdog girl.
Well, I mean, at the end of the day, this is fun for me. I'm not doing this to like truly make money. I'm doing it because I like it, and I think I have an edge, and I think I can win some money. But it's like it's got to be fun.
And like you said, the Underdog user experience is just absolutely elite.
So. And then like ever since the community stuff, like the cardio club has gotten more and more fun, more and more involved, and the more things I go to or like am involved in, the more enjoyable it's been. So this has been a fun year where I've now gotten involved in content as well as the stuff, and now it takes up more of my life.
It's all coming together. I like it. Yeah. So what other events have you been to? Well, first of all, it sounds like you were doing Underdog Cardio Club before there was Underdog Cardio Club, so I love that. Secondly,
yeah, right.
Secondly, what other events have you been to outside of the Cardio Club live draft? I think I need to get in on these.
So. Yeah, the UCC Brooklyn was a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to whatever they do for this year. It was just fun to like meet the people and do all that stuff. I did the ship chasing Vegas draft party finally last summer. That was a blast. Didn't make it to the dog bowls obviously last year in Miami, but that was a goal. That looked like a lot of fun. So yeah, just whatever they're throwing out, I'm going to try to get involved in. I'm going to see if I can't weasel my way into a Super Bowl invite one of these days at their Arizona house. That'd be fun.
That wouldn't suck, right? Yeah.
Yeah, we'll see. Hey,
no,
if they want content and they want takes, I'll give it to them.
You got them. Yeah. I like it. Now, a couple quick questions about your strategy, and then we will jump into a draft here. Strategy wise, is there a particular like big stand or strategy? Are you a zero, like heavy zero RB? Are you a late round tight end? Is there any like strategy that you uber lean into? I mean, obviously you're diversifying your portfolio, but is there something that you feel most comfortable in leaning into the most?
I mean, yeah, last year was a lot of zero RB, hero RB, and a lot of late tight end. And that was because there were a lot of good late tight ends I liked. I was heavy on McBride and Henry and guys like that. And that bailed out in a really fun, good way. Yeah. Because you also got the elite tight ends kind of having a down year in general. But this year, I maxed the big board. And so it's been harder to hit late tight ends right now just because of lack of certainty, lack of information. So I think there's a way to play it. And right now I'm kind of just, I'm being mindful of whatever I'm doing, I'm mixing and matching well. So if I'm doing early running backs, that's because I'm comfortable with who I've taken. I'm comfortable with how I'm going to build.
Right.
But yeah, it's really easy to get zero running back. I think right now to an extent. I did note, I think on Chris Spagg's Splash Play pod or another pod this week that zero running back seems nice, but the pockets at the end of the draft are, I think, even more fragile and uncertain than we're giving him credit for.
Right.
Last year I was drafting Kyron in, I drafted it in the Golden. So the, early June, late May draft. Those guys, there's only like one of those really available. So it's like your running back is good if you kind of start it a little early and finish it a little early. So I think all these strategies, and then if I do zero running back and heavy wide receiver, well, I'm potentially missing on having a couple bullets on some of these promising rookies that may be just as good, if not better, than the guys going early. So I'm just trying to be mindful. I'm trying to play like, hey, how far can I push quarterback? How far can I push certain things? Who am I comfortable with? And that really challenges my like, how viable are these players? How viable is this construction? And what I'm kind of most comfortable right now is kind of a balanced build with like elite guys that can carry. So like if I'm doing a hero RB, it's a guy like Brees, a guy like Bijan. But I'm also trying to be more mindful of like who I'm layering it in with. If I'm taking a 7th or an 8th receiver, they're almost certainly going to be a rookie that can like truly hit in a big way. I'm not going to tack on a dust ball. Same thing with like tight ends. Like who are these tight ends are just placeholders, and then how much does tight end really matter? I'm getting more comfortable with like going just 2 tight end, being like it's a low scoring position.
Right.
Draft like I'm right. Target the guys I like. Because like I mean, famously in the finals last year, 11.5 points from Laporta was good enough to be in the top 3. And top 3 this year really matters instead of last year where it's like, I gotta get first. So it's kind of like if I'm gonna punt a position, I don't really want to punt quarterback because of how important it is in half-point PPR.
Yes.
And tight ends where it's like 3 catches for 40 yards can be enough. So I don't have to be worried about that 18th round dust ball tight end that may not, again, right now we don't know. He may not be the starting tight end. I don't want to take him at the risk of losing like an upside running back or wide receiver.
Right.
So
wasn't it like Jawan Johnson last year, the hero in the finals,
exactly.
I believe? You never know, you don't know at that position, but then it does terrify me if I pass those kind of elite tight ends too much. Yes, of course, like a Kittle has a potential to do like a 35-point bury you, so, I've been going back and forth. I was total late tight end girl last year. Laporta was my biggest stand. But this year I am kind of struggling with that. Oh, wow. There's a lot in that 50 to 100 range that I do really like, but I do also like the late the late tight end build as well. So I'm kind of going back and forth, and it'll be interesting to see how we navigate that. But like you said, you can do any build you want. You just have to do it correctly. So, structure it correctly.
Plus this early, I mean, you're already playing with half the board. Nez said it really well, I think on Bindle's stream the other night where, Best Ball Resurrection, week 5, week 6 reminds us, like after round 7, these players suck. They're not as good as we thought. Like, and I was like, you know what? That I remember like hitting that like pick 80, pick 90, being like, I don't care. Like these guys all suck. I don't. And then it's like, yeah, looking at my board right now, I can paint a picture how every one of my players and how every one of these pockets works really well. Fast forward to the end of the year. Half those players don't matter, will flop. And so we definitely don't know right now. If it changes that much in 5 weeks from week 1 to week 4, week 5, how much is it going to change from May to the end of the year? So that's one thing of like reminding is like there will be a chaotic season. We will get things massively wrong. Outliers will happen. So how do I capture that the best I can with what I have now? And I think part of that's just being comfortable, being uncomfortable in some way because we don't know what's going to pan out.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. Final like best ball question before we jump in the draft. Who has been your favorite? I know you just talked about, and I'm kind of like that too, about like, I just want to nail my first 10 rounds. I know Hayden Winks talks a lot all about that on the Underdog Network. I want to nail those first 10 rounds. Feel really good about that. And then of course, mix in, who I'm taking these flyers on and who I'm building out the rest of my draft with. But do you have a favorite sleeper right now? Like who is your favorite sleeper right now? I mean, in 3 months, it could be totally different, obviously, when we have more info.
That's a good question. I mean, my ship chasing brain says it's got to be a rookie receiver.
Okay.
Because I think those are in best ball, those are the sleepers that matter because they can hit in such a big way when it matters. So your Roman Wilsons, your
Roman Wilson,
Jermaine Burtons, your Troy Franklins, maybe to a thinner extent. I mean, and then it's like, past round 10, it's like, do I really have one? I think, I'll go with an ugly one. I mentioned there's only like one running back that really fits the Kyron mold right now in like last pick, and it's Clyde Edwards-Helaire.
Okay.
Like going back to CH is free, but he's the RB2 on a really high octane offense. So it's like if I'm doing a 0 RB draft, like it's not fun. He probably does suck, but he also had like a 20-point week filling in, and then they have a rugby player and an undrafted free agent as their depth, and that tells me they trust him enough to do something. We've seen him catch random 3 touchdown like stretches of fantasy. So I mean, again, chaotic season. If his Pacheco's going in the top 5 rounds. I know CH isn't good. I know he's better than, a lot of these unproven rookies that were drafted really late in a weak class. So like that's that. I feel like a sleeper, someone that like you're not like you're not super comfy doing it, but if it hits in a big way. So it's like a guy like that. But yeah, like the Tez Walkers, and you know what? Okay, so the fun sleepers, Jalen McMillan, who was drafted 3rd round, I believe,
Bucks,
by
right?
the Bucks. Yeah,
You're right. Yeah. Okay.
he's someone I'm smashing a lot. He could. I think people are looking at him like, oh, Godwin's in the slot. He profiles as a slot receiver, so he's buried. Well, I don't agree that he can be slot only. Godwin moving into the slot 65% of the time doesn't mean he's in the slot 100% of the time.
100% of the right. All right. Yeah.
McMillan did outperform his classmates a couple, for stretches of games, and Trey Palmer's not great. He's fine. Right. So what if he's Tank, where Tank Dell actually was better on the outside than on the inside? Like,
right.
I think he's got a lot of outs, also considering the guys ahead of him are older. So he's much more of a fun rookie sleeper that hits all those things that we want to tick the box for like a late pick.
And I think now's the time of year we do want to ask, though, what if he, could do this? Now's the time, especially in those 17th, 18th round. Let's say hi to people in chat. Our guy Andrew from Fanspeak made it. We have Matt, who said loves the hair on this guy.
You like it? You like what you see? Yeah.
Of course, we got Justin from the Fanspeak team. King of QC was checking in. Bucky and Roman are his sleepers.
I like Bucky too. Yeah. I disagreed. I disagreed with the Eagles, Andrew, on
okay,
Twitter,
yeah.
Given like draft capital, draft profile, and if you have to assume he's slot only to say that, and we do not know that right now. Like camp OTAs just started, so he's got all camp to figure it out and get utilized, and the coaches like him. So I think I have every reason to fade a guy who was just like one long touchdown per game in Palmer, who's, Palmer's more, I was more into Palmer if they moved Evans. They kept Evans. So I'm more into, I mean, they're both free. I'd rather take McMillan for that, like, what if he's the guy you need rookie? Because it's far more likely he pops in a big way than Palmer does. Because I think, if Palmer wins the starting outside job, he's still going undrafted like 50% of the time. Whereas if McMillan gets really good camp news, he's going to rise several rounds, because we know that rookies making noise in camp is huge signal. So I just want to follow. I want to follow that thread, and I think that gets missed this early when we're trying to be like, oh, who do I know for sure is going to be on the field weeks 1 through 6? I don't care about 1 through 6. I care about late season. So let me bet on the guys that could pop in a huge way late season.
Absolutely. All right. We also got Spread in chat. Our guy Spread, check out he does a DraftKings show with our guy Tyler, another good Tyler to follow on every Tuesday at 4:00. But I think now it's time that we got to get in a draft here. So if anybody wants to join us, we are jumping into a draft. So I am, as you can see, clicking it now. And if you want to join us, there are 2 left in this draft to draft with Tyler and I, waiting on 1, and then we will get started. Let's see. What pick did we get? I listened to Andrew, and we got pick 2. I'll take that.
I'm not getting enough top 3 picks these days.
You haven't been?
No, I am 7 through 12 almost exclusively lately.
I kind of like that area. I mean, I look at last year. That was the area you wanted, I
also don't want to have like sub 4% CeeDee Lamb.
Right, exactly. No, I want more too. So I've been getting a lot of this. And so I'm not complaining. I've been getting a lot of like the 2 to 5. I have I have barely any one. And then, a couple of the mid-range, and then a couple that I actually like the very beginning or the very end. I think that's what a lot of people like.
I like it more when we have more information, because when we don't, it's a lot
as
harder
far as the very beginning or very end.
Yeah, who can I push? I think I was just saying it. I think it's easy to get punished on the turns, because if you don't properly guess how the runs are going to go, instead of knowing I am comfortable with this next tier of guys, there's like 2 or 3 pockets of the draft where I go, all these guys are kind of the same and suck. I don't know. That's where I struggle a bit. I feel like it's prudent to be.
We're getting Christian McCaffrey. They went.
I knew saying that I wasn't going to get him. Yeah.
Oh my God! I was just going to say you're about to get a lamb share, but I have not. I assume you're fine taking Christian McCaffrey, right?
Yeah, it's ever since Liam published his rankings, and why, much like last year, you can take Jamar Chase 101. It's leverage. It's unique, and now he's doing the same thing with Lamb. And
Okay. And
aside from the validity of that, I've seen Lamb going 101 a lot,
well, so here, let me put the board up while we chat.
which is fine. But yeah,
So
I knew saying that I wasn't going to get him.
that's so funny. Well, I'm sorry you didn't get your lamb share here, but I have confidence that we have
Oh,
a full summer ahead that you'll get plenty of your lamb shares. But what I was saying, I was be sure to check out Justin and Andrew who are in chat. They did a show last night. Check out their stream from last night. And Andrew
that
had
was a
like
good
an
one.
exorbitant amount of McCaffrey, and I'm like, how are you getting? I've gotten like barely any McCaffrey, and so this is
Well,
super
there you go. This is
exciting.
good for your portfolio. Yeah.
Yeah, super exciting. I need some more one picks or situations like this where I get him at 2. Very, very exciting. So, yeah, I need some more McCaffrey. You need some more Lamb. We're starting with McCaffrey here. Let's see who's in chat. Purple Posh says we're lucky he's refraining from BBM. Let's see. I think we have King of QC is in the 11th spot. And I know I saw Andrew in the 3rd spot. So, yeah, we've got Andrew at 3. He took Tyreek Hill. And then we've got King of QC at 11. Do you see anybody else you know in here, Tyler?
No, but Purple Nurple, shout out. Great username. And then love you too, Yosh. Yes. Where is my lamb? Yeah, exactly. That's okay. I mean, oh no, I'm taking a guy who profiles to be the 101 projected scorer every single week, barring anything. And
Right.
also the data on like pass catching running backs age much better and longer. So I'm not as worried about his age cliff as your Henrys or your Joe Mixons and your Kamaras. So
Justin, we're bummed that you missed it in here. But we will definitely
hey, stream drafts, everybody wants a stream draft, and then you get inside of one.
Yeah. And then it's like, this is tough.
Not fun because they're taking all the fun players. And you're
Right.
like, where are my fun players? And dude, some of my worst, grossest teams are draft streams I jumped into. And it's like,
yeah, you're in with the
team
chat.
Sucks.
Yeah. I agree. I mean, it's always CMC one for me. And that's why I've barely gotten anyone. So this is a very exciting day for me. I'm excited to share this moment with you, Tyler. This is very exciting.
Anchor builds, they're fun.
Exactly. Yep.
I mean, for me, I think it's CMC in a tier. I think Bijan and Brees in their own tier because they both have the youth, the pass catching, and the RAS. I think I prefer Bijan to Brees simply because if he gets the expected red zone usage that he should see,
right?
I mean, he's right there, and I still don't want to like.
And that playoff schedule is nice. I love the Falcons.
Well, and then macro level, the Jets are still a mess. Hackett's still a bad coach. Rodgers, the last time we saw him play, is slow paced and inefficient.
I'm super high on Rodgers and Garrett Wilson, and I do love Brees, but yeah, I have Bijan high. I'm really leaning more.
But then after that, it's like it's kind of a like Jahmyr Gibbs has a lot of the peripherals you want to see, but it's still not like. He really
still splits it with David Montgomery. I mean, I was talking on the stream how they can be very run heavy, but it's still both him and Montgomery. So
Montgomery's success rate was still really good last year. That was where he beat Jahmyr Gibbs was success rate. He had way more runs that were successful and gained yards, and that matters for a team that wants to stay on schedule, especially with a guy like Goff. So yeah, his contingent upside is massive, but it's still a projection.
Sure. Let's take a quick look. As I said, Andrew took Tyreek Hill at 3. He's coming back around. And then King of QC took Puka Nacua at 11 and Marvin Harrison Jr. at 14. That's a nice little correlation. That's week 17 Rams Cardinals, correct? I believe. Yeah. Still trying to memorize it.
Yeah, Rams Cardinals week 17 for a nice little hopefully a big divisional shootout for the playoffs.
Andrew's up, and then we are up. And we've got Deebo Samuel, Kyron Williams, Mike Evans, Achane, Waddle, Steph Diggs at the top of the board. Andrew just took Samuel, which is a great pick. We are on the clock. Who are you leaning towards here?
Probably Evans for me.
That's what I was about.
Just a guy that can put up 3 touchdowns. There's not a ton of them that can do that. Even if he regresses, even in the year he was a down year and hard to advance with Brady, which I think is the most likely. Like if we regress as an offense, Baker looks a lot like bad Brady.
Right.
Well, in the final game against Carolina, he still scored like 37 points. So
right. So back on the clock, we could do the double hero with Kyron, or you got Steph Diggs, DJ Moore, or of course Laporta. Then if you want to scroll down a little bit, you got Pittman, Devonta Smith. Who are you leaning here? 15 seconds.
what do you think about Metcalf? Metcalf or Moore is kind of where I'm leaning.
I would probably go Moore over Metcalf.
Do more. I think Kyron has. I think the market isn't done with his fall yet.
That's what I think he's going to fall a little bit more. So I'm going to try
whether or not I agree with it. I think
I don't agree with it necessarily, but I'll take advantage of it.
early drafts. I think it's mindful that CLV matters for like 90% of players. Players that I disagreed with that last year was like Brees. I'm like, you can drop him as far as you want. I will end up with a lot of Brees because I know health wise, he has such an elite athletic profile that his pass catching profile allows him to mitigate the drop off in efficiency early on as he recovers. And when he does hit that stride, it's just an elite ceiling. And that's exactly what happens. So it's like on players like that, where because their range of outcomes is so beneficial, and I think it's being poorly scored by the market, I don't care about CLV. But for all the other players where it's more gray, I like Kyron a lot, but obviously there's some risk to the profile. So if he's going to swing, if he can swing 2 rounds, well, I don't want to be caught up in that because I'm not as confident in the range of outcome, like median for that CLV loss. And especially in a market like this, it's so wide receiver heavy. I'm comfortable saying CMC's our guy, and I can get 80% Kyron in some other pockets. But I do really feel like it's prudent to build wide receiver heavy with CMC, given you want to maximize those. And then he's got more competition, but he's also got a 30-40 point game ceiling in his pocket.
Right.
Roma Dunze's already struggling with a hamstring tightness injury in camp. Keenan famously has hamstring issues. He's reaching age cliff. He's on the last year of his contract. If they're not in the playoffs, he could easily sit again, just being like, hey, if you're not going to re-up me, I'm not going to like hurt myself going into the offseason.
That killed me last year, by the way, in playoffs when he had such an amazing season, and then playoffs, it was just like, nope, I'm going to sit this one out. So that was
brutal. Yeah. I mean, and I fully get why he did that. So it's like in that environment where like if either one, much less both guys miss time, DJ Moore's back to having like a, just 30% target share upside with a really promising rookie quarterback. In best ball, I like that. Like, give me the guy that can have, and that's why like guys like Pittman, it's like your upside last year was like your big ceiling case, and it was be a PPR merchant, but don't really like have like a 25 plus point ceiling in your pocket with even more competition. So I'm like, give me the guys that no matter what, they're able to pop off. Like DJ Moore had a huge game with PJ Walker throwing him the ball. So like, I like those guys a lot in this format where the biggest score wins, especially in a tournament like this.
Right. Oh, absolutely. Justin made a point that I guess I didn't realize at the, let's see, what spot is he in? Looks like the 8th spot, Ferracci. Is that how we pronounce it? I don't know. I guess he was in the live stream draft last night. So he's jumping in the fan speak drafts. So
I will be right back. I'm sorry.
Oh no, go for it. I'll talk it through here. Justin's giving Andrew a hard time. I just looked at my exposures when you guys talked about exposures last night, and I have JMO is my highest exposed receiver, and I'm pretty excited about that because now we're seeing that he's probably going to get some steam after some coaches' comments. Pretty pumped about that. So we are coming around here. Let's see how the third round played out. So we took DJ Moore. Andrew took Sam Laporta. King of QC took Cooper Kupp. Love that. So really building out that Rams Arizona stack. Love that because then he turned around and got Trey McBride in the 4th round. So we're coming back around. 2 quarterbacks are off the board. Allen
making a lot of early bets though on one game, so that game has to go off now. Otherwise, you're kind of toast. And that is, it's high risk, high reward. So I'll give you that.
Right. Maybe he'll build out another, late round game stack. I'm trying to do research on that.
Yeah, he needs a cheap team to like be
kind of
compensating, kind of like the Bucks and the Hawks the last couple of years.
Right. Okay. We are back on the clock. I got so excited reading off. And so we have a couple quarterbacks on the board, but we don't have any correlation with them. Josh Jacobs, Mark Andrews, Christian Kirk.
I'm here for the Lamar Andrews double tap.
Okay. I like that.
Who did the one spot take out of curiosity, though, just to see who?
I queued up Lamar. So
Okay, yeah, I think we're good.
So we're good. We should be good.
I was worried about like Houston.
Because I don't have that yet. So
nice.
I really like that. I have Lamar and Lamar stacks. I don't have the Lamar Andrews double tap yet. So
as long as the one spot minds his P's and Q's.
Yeah. Exactly. So we got Andrews queued up, and I like that call a lot.
Good for him. He's getting unique. Nice little Green Bay stack. Very nice. Okay, so us in the one hole. This is where we're gonna mind each other's lanes. Yeah, and we're gonna benefit from not cannibalizing each other early on. I like
right.
that.
So he got some Dolphins and Green Bay. He's stacking up.
I like those little mini stacks.
Yeah,
two from the same team, whether or not you have the quarterback.
Yeah, and I keep saying that. Like if you get the quarterback, just like the guy that won it all last year, he got sniped a couple times. If you don't get the quarterback, okay. If you do get the quarterback, great. You're stacking up. You're making the team bets, and I like that. I like that a ton. Absolutely. And I do like our starting with, of course, the anchor of McCaffrey, Mike Evans, DJ Moore, and then we've got the Baltimore stack there with Lamar Andrews. So like that a ton for our start. Fun. Yeah, no, very fun start. So coming back around then, Andrew at the 3 spot took Christian Kirk. I believe he talked about him on the stream last night. Again, check out their show from last night. And again, check out all our shows. We do 4 live drafts every week. Tuesday, DraftKings. Wednesday, my brother and I, Sibling Showdown. Thursday, Andrew and Justin in the evenings. And Friday, of course, Friends of Best Ball. So plenty of live drafts on the channel. And then we will be doing plenty of more strategy shows and shorts and all that good stuff covering every angle of best ball possible. So I was going to say, if we didn't do the Mark Andrews thing, which by the way, I totally love the Mark Andrews. I was like, we could build out like a bigger, like if George Kittle, but he wouldn't have fallen back, like a George Kittle to set up a Purdy stack. But
I mean, you never know. Kittle's one of the guys that falls.
He just went.
Right, but like in like a general.
But if we didn't, right. Yeah. Bindles, appreciate it. Smash that like. Thank you for joining us. You do streams with Bindles, correct? Or do you been on his show?
My first ever guest streaming that wasn't a one-off World's Fastest Draft with Pete or a marathon stream with Chris Spags on Splash Play was with Bindles.
Okay, cool.
We did our infamous The Fish Bonk Back stream last fall, and then we did a year-end wrap-up and New Year's best ball resolutions video
I like that.
I think has aged very nicely. To be,
I need to go back and watch that.
And lots of people making best ball content.
This is a great comment, and vibes are
fun,
immaculate.
Yeah, it has stayed communal and collaborative, and I think that's good for the space.
Absolutely, and it's so nice that. I mean, I obviously like doing this on Fridays, and I was just on Neil Orfield's channel on Wednesday, and
that was a fun one.
Yeah, you were in the chat. Yeah, and like I know, and Tom and you have been on Neil's channel, so so many content creators are collaborating, like you said, to kind of do a ton of content with each other, and not just like stay on our own lanes and stuff.
This is supposed to be fun. Yes, and it's fun to chop it up and. But also, like one of the few ways I actually diversify my portfolio is by getting input from other people.
Exactly.
So yeah, it's necessary.
Yeah, Neil's the best. I love Neil. He's great.
Neil's great.
So
I'll probably be back on a Neil stream in the near future for an evening stream where all these morning sickos that
I was gonna say I saw Neil has sipped on some, so I'll sip on some drinks with Neil if he wants to have me back for an evening stream. It was 3:00. I couldn't start drinking at 3. I mean, I know it's 5 o'clock somewhere, but no, I had to do more work that day. But if you ever want to have me on an evening stream, I'll jump on.
Yeah. Yeah, I told him evenings are good, but then I just got like PTSD flashback. I was like, oh yeah, I was on the ship chasing Thanksgiving stream last year, and
Oh,
definitely got way more toasty than everybody else, and it got weird and awkward. And I'm glad I remembered that all of a sudden.
oh my. Okay, so we got a 1-1-2-1 working here. A bunch of
Who do we
running
have at
backs on
wide
the
receiver? Can we see the
yeah.
wide receiver
Yeah,
tab?
sure. So we got Keon Coleman, JSN, Deontay Johnson, DeAndre Hopkins at the top of the board. What,
Ugh.
only 10 seconds. What are you
Probably
thinking?
Keon for some rookie upside. I hate his profile, but half point PPR, it's good. And then outside of that, we'll figure it out.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, again, with the anchor running back, we don't have to. I do like David Montgomery. We're coming up in one. And then, back to the receiver tab, it's kind of saying I do like Hopkins. I like Tennessee if you wanted to build like a later Tennessee stack. But any
I
thoughts
like
on?
Hopkins. I think I like him more than Deontay. I haven't taken
I
a
like him more than
ton.
Deontay as well.
Then let's do it. Yeah, I have so much Hop.
Okay, you're fine with that though?
Oh yeah, I mean, again, another guy with 3 touchdown upside. Pass
Right.
rate in Tennessee should be much increased. Efficiency may be better, but the volume's what we care about.
Right.
And he is better than Ridley. So and he's already got chemistry with Mayo Boy, so I like it.
Yeah, with Mayo Boy. I just checked bye weeks. We're doing pretty good on bye weeks. I've been trying to be cognizant of that now that we have that information and it's in the queue and stuff, because I was making big time mistakes on that until that. My brother just wrote an article on Fanspeak. I actually have it pulled up to refer to. So lumps week by week, who are the teams that are together, to kind of be cognizant of that. And I'm going to try to do an article this week of my favorite top offenses and top undervalued offenses, Titans being one of my favorite undervalued offenses, I believe. But I want to then look at, okay, if I love the Titans as an undervalued offense, who might be like a good stacking partner with them, right? So like you said, I think it's all about, in each individual draft, you're gonna target certain team stacks, but then what teams might go well together with them. Like I know Adam Levitan from ETR did a tweet about how Detroit, they have such a great schedule about mostly indoors and, not outside till November. And I think, but they do have one like really cold weather playoff game. But it's like, well, if you paired it with a team that's got a great week 16 set up, maybe that could marry well together,
Weather Giga Brain.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I'm a weather girl.
It's fun to prognosticate, but my nihilistic self says the entire world's getting warmer. How cold is it really going to be for some of these teams? When you're down 3 scores, eventually, if you're not Tua small hands, you will be able to come back via pass and run.
I do love the dome games though.
It's hard not to. Yeah,
it's hard not to. We saw how that played out. I was so about Dallas, Detroit last year. It did play out. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to push a finals team through to enjoy it, but it was the right idea. And then of course, the winner ships at home with Green Bay going off in the dome in Minnesota.
I think more important than the dome was that it was, he won with a CD Amon-Ra stack. So you had access to 2 of the highest scoring games in Dallas, Detroit, and Green Bay, Minnesota. And then also 3 of those 4 teams were highly efficient with quarterbacks playing at a top 10 level, putting up top 5 on the week points. I think people miss a little bit of, and then the Jets game was supposed to be this god awful game with a crap ass quarterback, and the playmakers on the other side were so good, and Reese was so good that was like a top 5 scoring game. So it's like, we do just want access to these games that are scoring really highly. And we know that there's going to be like 2 to 5 that truly separate. And then you're hoping that you get the right players or the right concentrations of points. What I think people forget, especially like you see this all the time in like redraft or like DFS, and Adam Levitan's really good about, guys, it's the tail ends we care about. Yeah. It's the really good weather and it's the really bad weather. And the really bad weather, we're talking like gusts of over 20 miles per hour, temperatures below 20, like closer to 0. Those we see significant points drop offs in Vegas totals.
Yeah, and you want to see it in the Vegas totals too.
And outside of that, it's not that impactful.
Right. Right. Okay. So we are working with a 1-1-4-1 here going into our 8th and then, of course, 9th round pick. So with on the board are a lot of running backs at the top. If you wanted to continue to build out a Tennessee stack, we've got Pollard there at the top, but it's Dak, Brooks, Moss, Pollard, James Conner, Mostert. So a ton of running backs if you wanted to grab one here.
He took Brooks. I wanted Brooks.
Okay, you went darn it. Oh, that's our guy Andrew that sniped from you. What do you think about Pollard and building out a Tennessee stack? Thoughts?
I prefer Connor or Moss over Pollard. Pollard's been falling in rooms.
I will cue
prefer to
both.
play that
What
through
9
Tajay.
seconds? I'll let you pick between the two. Well, yeah, either one should work.
I think Connor has the bigger single week upside if he's seeing 80% plus of the work, 80% of the red zone work, it's more impactful. Receiver.
Okay, so receiver, we got Lockett, Williams, Dubs, Shakir at the top of the
I
board.
like Lockett as a bring back on the more, and we also could stay ahead of the wide receiver run.
Yep.
Because I don't think Zach Moss is. Yeah, I don't think Zach Moss is. I like him as a profile, but I don't think he projects that much differently than the guys that might be available at the next pocket. And I'd rather, and then also you mentioned Hayden publishing the what has worked the last 4 BBMs, 3 BBMs, and that's 4 or 5 wide receivers through the first 7-8 rounds.
Right.
But especially by round 10. And so Lockett's one of the last guys that still looks good. His age is concerning, but he has really big weekly upside. The offense is going to be much more vertical, hopefully more efficient, and that you can lock him in for projected efficiency and production right now.
Yeah.
So
like you said, he's kind of end of a tier. I mean, I take some Mike Williams. I definitely like Rashid Shaheed, but that's
I'm not picking a 30-year-old coming off an ACL.
Mike Williams, I'm ready to get hurt again.
And so is he, by the way.
That's good. Let me just read out the team room. That was a good one. Very, very well played. Good. That was very quick. We got a 1-2-5 working here with Lamar Jackson, Christian McCaffrey, James Conner, Mike Evans, DJ Moore, Keon Coleman, DeAndre Hopkins, Tyler Lockett, Mark Andrews. Just like to read when we're almost, at that 10th round, kind of what the core of our team is there. And I like that. I like that start. So
it's coming together well. I don't think we're going to be behind the 8 ball is the thing. Is what I like to keep on the turn. I like to make sure I'm not going to get locked out of stacks.
Right. That is what you need to be careful on the on the turn. So our guy Andrew sniped Jonathan Brooks from you. We came around, took James Conner. And
I'll never forgive you. I will remember this. I'll
I'll remember you, Andrew. And then we are coming back around. So King of QC did build out that Kyler stack in the 8th round, and he's up with his 9th round pick right now. So we'll see what plays out there.
I hope it's Trey Benson. Just draft everyone involved in that game.
He goes Javonte.
Come on. I don't even need for the bit. 12 straight picks for one game. That'd be legendary.
That would be legendary.
Do it, you coward.
Oh my! So yeah, he's up here. Let's see what he does here with these.
Javonte's a guy I'm struggling with.
I'm struggling with him too.
I had a back and forth with Gretch this morning. I'm softening on my take, but I faded him last year based on the multi-ligament injury.
Sure. Yeah.
And I'm worried that this is who he is now. Lost a step. He's breaking a lot of tackles. He's not missing a lot of tackles. He's not breaking away, and those things we usually fade as a sharp community.
Mm-hmm.
And now, Peyton uses running back by committees. We're not sure what role he's going to have now that he's drafted a few more folks. There's a lot more uncertainty than I think we're giving credit for at this price, considering the guys that are going around him.
Right.
In my opinion, because we're also saying that like last year the offense wasn't good, but a rookie quarterback 5 in the class who is one of the older prospects in the last 20 years, who Denver was the only team that had a first round grade on him. With all that context, do we think the offense is definitely going to be better? Could it be the same? Could it be worse? That's
right.
Those are where I'm I get that's where you're pricing his profile. I just don't think he fits the profile as well as we would like. And I think also we fondly remember how much juice he had and how much we wanted him to have the main role.
Yeah.
Whenever his first 2 years, the coaching staff told us we're not comfortable with him getting more than like 60% of the work. So if it's going to be a low scoring offense, I'm worried about how that pays off in a way, as opposed to a guy like Brian Robinson who could take over the backfield and actually be a difference maker.
Okay, we
All
are
right,
back on the clock. So yeah, at the top of the board, we've got Singletary, Eckler in the running back position, Shakir, Shaheed. Then your Palmer, if you want to go a little further down. Anything jumping out?
So I definitely prefer Singletary to Zach Moss, so I'm glad he came back around. And
Okay.
he's 12 picks past ADP, so I think this is
you're getting some value. Yeah.
for a 5 running back build. I like it a lot.
Yeah, no, and I typically like 5 running back builds too, especially when you're anchoring with McCaffrey. So we've got a 1-3-5-1, and we're right back on the clock.
I was hoping Shaheed would come back around, but
okay, that's what I was just going to say. Shaheed would probably be the one, but it goes Shaheed, Wicks in between us. What are your thoughts on Palmer? He's probably my favorite here, or just getting a piece of Dallas offense. Brandon Cooks. What are your thoughts?
I kind of hate this tier. It's probably Cooks for me, but
we could look at quickly look at tight end, and unless you wanted to wait on that since we went early.
Yeah, I think we just take a running back and just get access to some.
Do you find to take Cooks here and then get our?
Yeah, I think Cooks. I think one thing to note on Cooks was he was a toe tap away from a 2-touchdown game in Week 17. I remember that vividly because it mattered from one of my finals teams.
Okay.
And the depth behind him got worse,
right.
And the pass offense should still be pretty high. The access to big scoring games should still be there. If Lamb misses any time for contract stuff or injury, Cooks is the only guy that can profile as like a 25% target share guy, even at his age. His decline was slight, but it wasn't, crazy significant. He can still operate out of the slot to help free him up whenever Lamb is on the outside. It's leverage against Lamb. It's leverage against Ferg in both a room and in a finals.
Right.
Yeah, we're just looking for guys that can put up, he has access to an 8-catch, 80-yard, 2-touchdown ceiling because we saw him do that.
And getting access to just a top offense. I mean, just like anytime I can get as much access to, in my mind, what's going to be, top 5, top 10 offense, and Dallas has consistently been so, then I want to do that. And I think, they've got to be keeping the foot on the pedal in the pass heavy approach because, with their running back situation, you got to believe they were pass heavy coming out of the bye through their end of the year last year. Got to believe that's going to be the same way this year.
So you put your Week 17 cap on, and then you ask yourself, who would I rather have? The wide receiver 2 on the Cowboys facing the Eagles,
right,
or the wide receiver 2, 3, or 4? We don't know right now. On the Chargers in the Greg Roman offense playing the Patriots.
Right.
I know it's not
that
even
was an easy answer for me. Yeah. Totally.
JJ Zacharyson talks a lot about this from like a redraft standpoint, but I love listening to it every year. Now that he's a best ball bro, it's great.
Yeah.
But like applying some of his like draft dynamics into the best ball community, as far as like, because in best ball we do want guys that can way outperform their ADP. That helps us advance and potentially get. Advancing is important if we can get unique pieces to the finals and get to the finals, which getting to the finals means more for our pockets than ever before. So in this case, specifically targeting wide receiver 2s and 3s on high scoring offenses is valuable in fantasy. Wide receiver 2s and 3s on bottom 10 teams does not move the needle and usually is a small win, big loss. I'd rather go for Brandon Cooks, who is a small loss, big win weekly. Right. Let alone like I need him to pop off for a few, 15-point games, if not more than that, to fill in the flex or the wide receiver. And especially taking a guy like Coleman, I like a little bit of vet high-scoring offense just in case that bet flops. We're not completely toast with only 6 live receivers in the finals.
I really think we've built out, I know we're watching the board, but I really think we've built it out to a place where, like you said, we're not boxed in anywhere. We have the
Yeah.
elite quarterback and tight end start. We already have 6 receivers, and we start after the anchor. We got we got 2 early, I guess. Then we waited, but we already do have 6 receivers at this point. And you were smart to, like you said, let's hit the 5 before the cliff, and we already have 3 like volume running backs. So
and we
I think
flooded Josh Palmer so hard he's fallen 12 picks past ADP.
Yeah. So yeah, you have Josh Palmer, you have Elliott. If you want to continue to bet on the Cowboys, I mean, I know people don't like him, but he probably is going to.
I don't know that he helps our room, given how it.
Right.
I mean, at this point,
he got taken anyways. But yeah, it's more just I do think he's still going to be the goal line guy. I queued up the 2 guys that would make sense for stacks, and it's a little early for both, but I'm just keeping an eye on them. So, do you want to take a falling Palmer?
Nope, he goes.
He went right before. Andrew's in the room with us. He knows. He took him.
Who are our wide receivers available to us, real quick?
Sure. Downs, Quentin Johnson, Pearsall, Mooney. You could build a further.
Is Polk there?
Excuse me.
Jalen Polk.
Yeah, Polk's there. Do you like him?
Polk Burton. I think if we're going to take a receiver, it needs to be like a rookie. I haven't personally gotten a lot of Polk, but I think he's an interesting.
Polk's our guy. I got him up there.
Yeah.
Okay, so we got Polk.
We needed some youth. It's getting a little old in the.
Okay, so I only have quarterbacks queued up. So what do you think about the running backs? Dowell, Jalen Wright, Ty Chandler. I love Chandler.
Yeah, let's do Chandler. I think we need access to like a,
unless you want more Dallas from the Dowell perspective.
We probably should. I'm not into Dowdle because he's a 4th-year player who's mixing in, and I'd rather play it through. They have to pass even more because they saw how inefficient the run game was,
right?
And I think it's more likely that Zeke and Dowdle make each other barely matter more than one of them truly matters. And I think if one's going to matter, it's probably going to be Zeke if he stays healthy and he just PPR scam, and then gets the occasional goal line. Because I don't know, 1A, 1B, Rico, 50%. I'm having a hard time coming around to that mattering. And in a build like
taking much Dow or Elliott at this point, just because you just feel like
I'm taking one if I'm in a zero. I think in a zero running back build, I want one. But in a build like this, I don't. I want access. Like Chandler gives us access to 20+ points a game if Jones goes down, and Jones is 30. I like that bet a lot more than betting against like. Zeke just stole the job from Ramondre. Like he sees 30 to 40% with a better player in Ramondre. Ramondre gets hurt. Zeke fills in. I don't think Dowdle's that good. And the staff and the quarterback loves Zeke. So I struggle to see the value.
Yeah.
In a build like ours.
By the way, I'm going to agree with Hoosier really quick. Tolbert is one of my favorite late round guys. We talked about Cooks, but I also like Tolbert is like just a late round flyer getting access to that Dallas.
Josh Downs versus New York Giants. Yeah, the correlation was there. But as far as like, I think Downs' upside is capped as long as Pittman and AD Mitchell are live. I like his profile, but I think in our build as a 7th receiver, I'd rather go for we just talked about every BBM team has had a rookie wide receiver on it.
Jaden Reed was the hero last year.
Yeah. When in doubt, the rookies are more likely to way outproduce their ADP and their projection, especially late season. And Polk profiles as like outside inside guy, and he's the only one on that team that can truly fill the outside X role. And we know that role is the most valuable for fantasy. And whether it's Drake May or Jacoby Brisket chucking deep, I mean that's promising. And I like mixing in Burton, I like mixing in Roman, but Polk could, like, if we're talking about cheap pieces that could really benefit, it's this Patriots team that benefits from having an actual modern NFL OC and not complete dog crap at quarterback and wide receiver. So I like Polk a lot at cost. It's one of the cheaper, easier rookie bets to make, and it allows us to kind of be flexible with the back end, especially when it comes to stacking. I know Drake May and Lamar bye week overlap, but the way we're building this team out, I think we're letting ourselves be available to potentially 2 additional quarterback stacks if we can thread the needle right.
That I was gonna say your music to my ears. I'm sure if you've heard me talk, I do love the 3 QB build, and even in a Lamar stack or a hero like an elite quarterback stack, I don't mind that because again, I see the you're just giving yourself three options, especially in the playoffs, which I love. But also, say Lamar goes down for 4 weeks, then you're really protecting yourself. Again, I've just seen how it works, and if you can get the other two late once you got the one early, I really love that. But
yeah, well, there's a 3-week aspect of this. We have to advance 2 weeks and then win in the final win in the final week. And Lamar has a lower floor than his counterparts in Allen and Hurts.
And
we've seen that. And so we don't want Lamar going off in the finals, but we got bounced week 16 because Henry got 3 touchdowns, Lamar got to coast. They stomped their rival, and it doesn't matter. So that's where the other quarterback access has power.
Well, and I don't know if you want to double tap here or if you just want to get one, but we have both Baker and Levis. Both do not have conflicts with Lamar or each other. And we have elite stacks with Baker Evans and then, of course, Hopkins, Levis. What are your thoughts of hitting at least one here?
Definitely Baker, yeah.
Yeah, that was mine.
And I'm open. Like I said, the way we've built this, I'm open to it. Let's check out the tight ends, though, because I don't want to get totally boxed out of there either.
Yeah, so we got Juwan Johnson, Tyler Conklin, likely Fant, John Smith, Chikakonkwo later. If we were to get Levis, that's obviously an option.
We got an elite guy, so I'm okay pushing it.
Right, I'm okay pushing it too. We have essentially. I definitely think we want one more running back.
What's our wide receiver core again?
Our wide receiver core is Evans, DJ Moore, Coleman, Hopkins, Lockett, Cooks, Polk.
Yeah, you know what? Let's be done at quarterback. I think that's fine.
I like it a lot. I never want to feel like I'm pressuring people into my 3 quarterback propaganda, but I do really like it in this build.
Well, part of me always likes to push the last quarterback to see how cheap I can get him.
Right.
Knowing that May is on the back burner, but also like Levis gives us access to scoring early on. And then I have to, every time I'm tempted to arbitrage it, I do hear Pat Crane going, well, you made a bet early on Hopkins, and if Hopkins hits that, you probably want to stay with the bet that Levis is good and matters. Although in the back of my head, I then counter him at the winery we were at, saying, "Well, Browning fed Pickens, so he could feed. I think Browning could feed Hopkins really well too." And then he'd say, "That's probably too gig a brain." So I'll just say, "Yeah, sure. Let's double down on the bet." But I just want to disclaim that.
Did you guys have a winery conversation about this?
Oh, last year when I went to Brooklyn, we also hung out after the spin class thing. He took us to a place for it was a brewery that had a lot of sours, and I remember.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
And he was like, "Look, the bet," and I'm like, "Yeah, but chaos, and you can directionally be accurate." And so in this case, yes, I think it makes sense to take the guy. But I also like Drake May. I think he's got a higher ceiling as a prospect, obviously being 3rd overall pick versus 2nd round pick. But I think I have more faith in the system in place for Levis to succeed.
Sure. Yeah. And I'm very high in Titans offense this year. Just could see, I'm not going to say it's going to be Houston level, but just could see a potential breakout, especially with, Callahan coming over from the Bengals. I just can see it with the additions they made. They even invest in the offensive line in the 1st round.
It's never been a smoother landing. It's him and Caleb Williams got goated, start hot. And if you fail, it's your fault. Probably.
Yeah, exactly. You've been given every chance to succeed here. So I'm liking this because just to read it off as we're coming around the corner here, heading into, I believe, the 16th or 17th round. So we have our 3 quarterbacks, we have 4 running backs, 7 receivers, 1 tight end. So I think this will probably be, what do you think, a 3-4-8-2 build, probably, right? So 1 more running back, 1 more receiver, 1 more tight end. Does that sound right to you? I mean, depending, unless something kind of volume falls that you like another tight end or something. What do you think about that?
Yeah, it's probably 3-5-8-2 or it's 3-7 3-5-7-3
if like a really good.
Yeah, I think I'm not going to force a receiver if there's not a profile that fits what we're looking for in this build.
But, because honestly, like you said when we were talking about our last stacks, and again, I love that we paired all of our quarterbacks with like elite guys too. I mean, I'm fine pairing them, just correlating them. However, running backs, tight ends, receivers, but we paired Lamar with his kind of elite receiver in in Mark
Skinny
Andrews.
stack.
And
I love
yeah, we got the skinny stacks going, Baker and Mike Evans, and then Levis and DeAndre Hopkins. So yeah, love how all that is playing out there. Okay, yeah, it's coming around. Just finished the 15th round, coming into the 16th round.
Come on, guys, hurry up! Y'all are bleeding the clock. This is ridiculous. I know we're talking a lot, and it's good information.
Well, actually, as we're talking, you talked about a finals team last year. So tell us about your finals sweat, your finals team. Was it BBM? Was it another contest?
I only did 33 BBMs last year, and my
that was
top
probably smart, given the contest structure was so tough.
Oh well, yeah, I
did less. Yeah,
I
now I want to be more. I love the contest structure this year.
This year it's much nicer.
So much better.
Previous year I knew a few bullets, especially for UCC. You get the rake, you get the and a UCC leaderboard. The first place in that got 150 free entries into this year's BBM.
Oh, right. Okay.
That lineup finished in the top 10. It would have placed third. It would have placed third overall in the finals, but it got bounced the previous week because my lineup came down to Gus Edwards versus CMC, and yeah, we all know how that played out.
Okay, so I'm pulling up. We're coming up here. 2 picks basically back.
Killing me, TD King.
Yeah, that's our guy Andrew. He just took Jonnu. So a little IQ for correlation, but it's up to you. Then running back, we got Hubbard.
I think it's Herbert, and then a huge drop off at profiles. Personally.
Okay, so you want me to grab him now?
Yeah, and then let's look at tight end because I hate Chig.
You don't like Chig?
I hate Chig.
Okay.
He did nothing, and now he's got more target competition. I know it's a better offensive system.
Yeah, it correlates, but he does have more target competition. So we got Tucker Kraft, Mike Gesicki. I'm a big Jatavion Sanders gal.
Well, he correlates with Evans.
Okay, so Carolina to Tampa. Yep, you're exactly right. So do you want to go Sanders here? Even though it's a little early? I mean, I still think it's up to you.
It's that or we take our last wide receiver here and we let the draft board dictate who comes back around. Oh, Luke McCaffrey this far? Let's get him.
Yeah, that's a big fall. You want to grab that? That's a big fall.
I mean, it's a rookie receiver, and he's falling to 20 picks past ADP.
I'm fine. 20 picks past ADP, yeah.
He gives us one good week, and it pays off. Yeah, I'm totally fine with that.
I like that. Look at our last 2 picks. Our last 3 picks, I kind of like the Brandon Cooks, Polk, McCaffrey, 2 rookies, as you spoke to. So we have 3, 5, 8, 1, and obviously going to be doing a 3, 5, 8, 2. I'll pull the board back up, but any other tight ends I mean, Sanders has been my guy. I've been pounding the table that he's actually this year Sam Laporta because nobody is ahead of him.
I wish he was athletic like Sam Laporta.
Yes, he's not going to be Sam Laporta as far as the athlete, but NFL Network's Lance Zierlein compared him to David Njoku. He actually had the much higher pre-draft ranking than Sinnott by most experts. It's just he got the highest capital out of Washington. So Sanders actually comped to Sinnott very, very closely at the combine. I only know this because I just did an article and a short video, and so I did all the back end research on it. But he's not going to be Sam Laporta athleticism, but he has a Sam Laporta opportunity, I think, as far as the role that nobody to be tight end 1 in that offense.
I'd rather bet on the rookie just outperforming. We know that to be elite, you have to have an elite athletic profile. So he's not going to be elite. I think we can comfortably say that. But his next gen stats in college indicated that he's a better athlete than his pro day and his combine suggest. And his runway to mattering is he can be Cade Otton, who is not good, but has 2 touchdown upside weeks in a Canales system because he's running 80% of the routes. And that I like making that bet versus the 3rd year tight end who did nothing with all of his opportunity.
And like you said, it does correlate with our Tampa stack too.
If I can correlate my way out of a player, I made a promise in the Discord that I would eat a paper plate for every person I shamed for taking Chig if he scores more than 5.5 points in the finals.
Okay, so you've got that.
If I can not take him,
there. Okay.
Yeah, if I can not take him, that would.
Okay, well, I'm glad I wasn't forcing Chig too much. I didn't realize that was out there in the.
It's okay. If I'm going to diversify, I can't take Lock.
just almost dropped my mic on myself. I got a new microphone and it almost fell on me, but we're all good.
Oh, I've got the Pat Corain heavy like covering special, and I had it on my arm, and it definitely is so heavy it just leans into my face. So I've just decided like I'm just putting it on my desk, and it'll take up half of my PC peripheral, but it's not gonna like bonk me in the face.
Yeah.
And I know there are guys in chat that'll make their jokes, so I gotta just keep it on the desk. Theo Johnson, yeah, Ras God, but we've seen Ras gods not do much. You can't be elite at the tight end position without having an elite athletic profile, but that does not mean being athletic makes you matter. So
Right.
it's a fine line. I think he's got a good setup, but I think Daniel Bellinger probably like eats into 50% of the snaps, just like he did with Waller last year. But Theo is the type of guy that if he starts picking up camp steam of like, oh, he's getting the offense, he's figuring it out, then you hammer that bet. If you're not hearing a lot about the rookie tight end, it's pretty safe to assume it's not going to matter. These Hayden Hurst and the Chargers, oh God, fine God. That's all I can say. Like he's likelier to retire than he is to matter.
That is true.
Like I don't know if people remember he left because of how bad his concussion was. He forgot who he was.
All right, Sanders is here. Is it okay if I go ahead and click it and finish?
I'm going to close my eyes. You take whoever you want.
No, I'm taking Jatavion Sanders. I've been beating that drum since the draft, mainly because I did not understand the Senate steam, and I'm a Washington fan too. But
the Senate steam is unjustified. Like if Ertz wasn't there, I get it. Ertz is there.
Yeah, it's the whole opportunity thing, right?
Yeah, you have to adjust. Yeah.
Yeah. So just before we get into the draft, we're going to look at all the drafts. But again, be sure to check out our articles on fanspeak.com. My brother and I write a ton of multiple articles each week. We'll have more up this weekend going into next week. I'm just got wild and crazy plans for my holiday weekend. Of course, while you're here, like and subscribe to the Fanspeak Network. We really appreciate it. Okay, so let's take a look now let's look at our other friends of best ball who are in here with us. So I will start with TD King, who you said sniped us often. And that's Andrew, who is part of the Fanspeak team. He was at the 3 spot and he has a 2.673. So yeah, making sure you can see it. So he's got Tua and Goff, then running backs Rashad White, David Montgomery, Jonathan Brooks, who he sniped from you, Raheem Mostert, Chuba Hubbard, Tank Bigsby, receivers, Tyreek Hill, Deebo Samuel, Amari Cooper, Christian Kirk, Josh Palmer, Ricky Pearsall, Rashad Bateman, like that as a last pick, Sam Laporta, K-Dot, and Jonnu Smith. Overall, I like it. I'm trying to see the different, stacks. Obviously, Miami, he's got the big Tyreek Hill, and then he got Jonnu, and then Laporta, any other Detroit guys, and Montgomery and Goff. So, yeah, I like this team. What are your thoughts on this team, Tyler?
I think a lot of teams you can justify as long as you allocate the capital well, because saying with absolute in May is absolutely ridiculous. So, and I reserve that right to, there's like 3 players I will say absolutely I will fade, but outside of that, good team, good construction. I think a lot of paths to get there. You're just hoping that the chaos doesn't ravage you versus your opponents.
Yeah.
At this stage in drafting.
Yeah. You said, thanks for joining us, King of QC. Thank you for joining us, King QC. He said, fun drafting with you. Hope to do it again. Yes. Again, every Friday here, but Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, we've got live streams. So definitely hope to join us. We had a lot of your friends and other friends of Best Ball in chat. So we really appreciate it. Gabe asks, hello, do you all know if there will be more $3 tourneys after the Pomeranian? I think they're just going to keep dropping them, right? I mean,
yeah, if you weren't around for last year, we got the Palm 2, the Palm 3, the Palm 4, return of the Palm.
Yeah.
So, and then you're going to have like $4 contests. I think those are the Chihuahuas, the $5 puppies. I think we had 4 or 5 puppies last year. You're going to get the poodles. We had 2 or 3 poodles last year. Those are the $7. Plenty of tournaments to come that are lower level. including like the pug as well. You know, the $12 3 max.
I love that. I tweeted that today about how it filled in 24 hours. And I love these like single entry 3 max, 5 max, 10 max, whatever. I like that. And then I also like the time box. I said, I'm going to need like a buzzer how many times I say the time box tournament. But like, I do like that because we're all working with the same information. And so that's just unique from what we're doing here with the BBM, there's a lot more nuances working with the whole summer.
Yeah. Scrolling down in a time box contest or avoiding like guys like Rashee Rice in these contests, it's a lot more right or wrong from a risk portfolio when you're drafting versus BBM where it's open right up until the season start. And so depending on which way the news goes, you could be a big winner or loser even before the contest gets out of the cart. So a fun way to play those especially from an information edge standpoint. I mean, if you're grinding the news heavily from off season to draft to now, there's been a lot of useless stuff, but there's a lot of useful stuff. Like as far as like guys like Price, like your Josh Jacobs in the 3rd round versus Joe Mixon as far as like projected volume, and that McFleur is likely to use a committee and Jacobs isn't going to get 28 carries a game if Lloyd is healthy and doesn't suck. Then in those time box contests, you can fade that price, arbitrage it to a guy like Mixon, who is likelier to see like a good chunk of that work, or Pacheco or whatever. You get that round discount like that. Those are levers you can pull in those draft rooms but in BBM, Josh Jacobs' price probably continues to fall to a point where it's negligible. But in those time box contests, that is an edge you can seek out. And like scrolling down right now in BBM, you're hurting yourself more than you're not from like the standpoint of there's so much uncertainty with those late picks that you may not be getting unique because that scroll down player may very well end up being a guy who's going drafted 80% of the time because June hits, he's getting camp news, and now he's a fixture of the 15th round. Like it's not the same levers to pull for different tournament openings.
Real quick question here. Do you think the Palm will influence ADPs very much?
No, the puppies influence ADP more than the Palm, simply because of entrance and time open. And Hayden's talked about that. Okay. Like when the puppy drops, you see a lot more ADP shifts in the first 48 hours than you do for a contest with a fraction of the entries. If something opens and closes that fast, it's not going to move as much as you've got all these other contests like BBM that stay open. And so you're just talking about like spikes. Puppy has so much more entrance that the spike is more impactful to ADP than something like the Palm, from what I understand.
Yeah, no, and I just love these time box tournaments and the single entry 3 max and the fact that the advance rates are so nice. I made a mistake last year of just not focusing on the advance rates of the tournaments I chose outside of BBM. And
and those matter. Yeah, those matter for how
a lot. And again, here I made this big stand on Dallas, Detroit, and I'm choosing wrong contest in my opinion. In hindsight, didn't even get to enjoy the Dallas, Detroit because hey, I'll be fine, competing for 5 figures, and not 7 figures, So I want to have a better shot at finals, and I want to get in all these single entry 3 max, 5 max, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Gabe is getting into the best ball streets. Glad you found us.
Welcome to hot best ball summer, brother.
Yes, it's awesome. It's awesome. And it looks like a lot of people, and I think you, obviously your friend Hoosier here. I'm glad you found the channel. We're glad you found the channel too. Again, plenty of great content all summer long. So we really, really appreciate that. Never heard of them. Yeah. It buzzes me every time I say that. That I'm going to say it way too many. We need to figure out another way to say that. But okay, let's look at the other team in the contest, King of QC, who we enjoy being in the draft with as well, 3672. And he was stacking up the big LA Arizona game. So he's got Kyler Murray, Justin Fields, Bo Nix. I think that's smart to take a 3rd, especially with the field situation. And then you have Jalen Warren, Javonte Williams, Chase Brown, Zach Charbonnet, Jaleel McLaughlin, and CEH, who you mentioned. Then receivers, Puka, Marvin Harrison Jr., Cooper Kupp, big LA Arizona stack there. But I like those receivers a lot. Obviously, Keenan Allen, Xavier Worthy, Josh Downs, and Zay Jones. And then we've got Trey McBride, Pat Freiermuth. Making a big bet on that game. But I mean, I still like the players and the structure overall. Any thoughts before we look at our team?
No, and again, I think it's solid, especially if you're gonna just in a note to anyone still in the chat that's new to best ball. One thing we do want to emphasize is that if you're taking 3 quarterbacks, it's not because you're scared of an injury. It's because you have them stacked and you haven't over allocated draft capital, because it is a onesie position. In any given 1 week, you're only going to have one player, and the more you take at a onesie position, unless you're taking away from the positions like running back and wide receiver where you do play more players. So be mindful that you haven't, like, that's why you don't want like 3 elite quarterbacks from like the top 5 rounds, because you're really losing points in your lineup to positions where you start more guys. But as long as you have quarterbacks that you haven't deviated too much from an allocation standpoint in your draft room and that are stacked, that's where you see the benefits of having multiple quarterbacks in your lineup, for the same reason why it's better to have, than a solo quarterback, because there are going to be weeks where your quarterback doesn't, make it, whether it's a bye week or, a low scoring week. So it's about riding those stacked players, not necessarily just like a numbers game.
Right.
And
So
I think a lot of players are
it's
they're going to
quality,
overreact to last year.
it's quality or quantity, not both. And
Exactly.
I think that's what you said perfectly. Andrew agrees with you. He said, you're not giving me 3 quarterback slander. You're saying just stack them all, correct?
Yeah. You want your quarterback stacked. A naked quarterback, like for a guy like Fields, fine, but you may get toasted by a Fields team that has a skinny stack with Warren, Najee, Pickens, or Roman Wilson, or knowing Arthur Smith, Calvin Austin, so like there is naked quarterbacks can be better than not, but you see the benefit of adding a third quarterback. Leone's manifesto stated this perfectly. You see the biggest benefit in stacking teammates, and the biggest benefit of stacking is quarterback with pass catcher. So a third quarterback, the best outcome in your roster is that they are stacked up, so that when they both hit, they hit in a big way. You saw that with the last few BBM winners with Love to Reed and Brady to Godwin. Godwin got outscored by Evans, but because he had Brady 44-point game with a Godwin 25 or whatever point game it was with the bring back, that's where you see the benefits. Because when you're in the finals, I mean, BBM is like what, 550 final, like
finals,
it's a huge field. So like you're going to be competing against a lot of guys. Unique pieces are good. Unique stacks are best.
Yeah, and I like it to hit to King of QC's point. I do like stacking running backs too. The winner had Mostert, Tua. I don't mind that if as I'm looking just for team correlation. My favorite is if I can get 4 and I can do quarterback, running back, receiver, tight end. That's my favorite if I'm making a big bet on that team.
Yeah,
but I'm fine with skinny stacks too. But like you said, to your point, in some way, shape, or form, I want the quarterback stack, because then in the playoffs it's a gauntlet, and I'm giving myself 3 stack options to get through that gauntlet, because my God, is it hard.
Well, especially in a tournament like this where the advancement structure is tough and then the finals are tough. So like it's truly a gauntlet.
Well, I mean, it's funny to look back at the past couple of years. It's some of the quarterbacks that go off in week 17 are not necessarily, especially where we're sitting in May and June. Guys,
Derek Carr to Shaheed and Jawan was
last
a
year.
top 5 quarterback stack in week 17.
I know. Who would have thought that? Not me. So,
yeah, exactly.
And then I mean, Love was being drafted but he started the year rough. I mean, if you drafted him, you're probably like, ooh, and then, he just exploded at the end of the year, and that's exactly what you wanted. And so it was perfect. And the year before it was Daniel Jones and Tom Brady that went off week 17. So it's not always who you think.
If you can drag a shitty low owned quarterback stacked to the finals, it's really good crappy leverage that can hit in a big way, because crappy quarterbacks usually are down by a lot of points. And I mean, Blake Bortles, the king of garbage time, lest we forget. So
right. So yeah, like your team, King of QC. Let's take a quick look at ours. We ended up with a 3-5-8-2, and we did Lamar Jackson, Baker Mayfield, Will Levis all stacked. We had the anchor with one of my first Christian McCaffrey shares in BBM, which is very exciting. James Conner, Devin Singletary, Ty Chandler, Khalil Herbert. Then our receivers, Mike Evans, DJ Moore, Keon Coleman, DeAndre Hopkins, Tyler Lockett, I like our last three that we were able to get. Brandon Cooks, Jalen Polk, Luke McCaffrey, two rookies, a big falling value on McCaffrey. And then Mark Andrews, obviously paired with Lamar as our kind of anchor tight end, and Jatavion Sanders, my guy. I like this team a lot, Tyler.
I also like it's hitting me late that by taking an elite tight end, you can push tight end 2 much further because they don't have to do as much. And if Andrews hits, 4th, 5th round turn price, that's like our bet is that he returns that investment. If he doesn't, we're already behind the 8 ball anyway to teams with that did not take him there that also have a tight end out producing. So our bet is that he gets there, but also by having a week 14 bye, that's giving Sanders all year to find his footing and matter for us just a couple of times. So
exactly.
I do like pairing a rookie tight end who typically get off the slowest with a later bye week tight end elite, if that's the way you're going.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, because his bye week, Andrews, that is I believe 14, as you said. So yeah. So I like this a lot. I just want to finish hearing your final story, and then we can get out of here. So you said we started talking about it, and you said how many BBMs you had. So what tournament did you make the finals last year?
Yeah, so I made the finals in God, I could pull it up, but it was like Puppy 2, Poodle, one of the mid stakes. I don't remember.
The puppy was a tough advance rate too, or multiple puppies were tough advance rates. So that's amazing.
Yeah, I had a couple of fringe teams just miss the cusp, or I think the puppy team specifically, I was really bummed out because I was one of the few teams with Jefferson on it, and not getting Mullins for the full 4 quarters sank my ability to crack top 5. But yeah, I was in like, I don't know, probably like 6 or 7 finals. I was also top 100 in drafters.
Oh, that's awesome. What's your handle over on drafters? Because I'll be.
So I am emo cowboy on everything.
You're emo cowboy and everything.
I branded early and often.
Okay, I like it.
From way back in the day, this has just aged the least poorly. So yeah, I famously overtook David Kitchen in week 12. And for his 100th spot, and then just kept. So I think I cracked 2 teams in the top 200, 1 team in the top 100 on drafters, and then because of the payout structures and some of those other finals, not cracking the top 10. My most proud one now that it was the Golden. I made the finals in the single entry $10 Golden
last year,
and had no shot because not only was last year's Golden last year. Winner take all. It was first or nothing.
Oh, I remember that one. Okay.
This year, the Golden has a flatter payout structure for the finals.
No, nice. Yeah.
So of course, making 19th in the Golden didn't matter. But I famously made it to week 17 in the single entry Golden with Kyron Williams, and had no shot at first, which was winner take all, because my quarterbacks were Daniel Jones and Russell Wilson, who got benched for contractual reasons in week 17. So another nice thing about 3 quarterbacks is if you're taking on quarterback risks this year, like Geno Smith, Daniel Jones again, Russell Wilson again, guys who have high bench risk for late season for developmental, younger guy behind them reasons or contractual reasons, you don't want to have no quarterback if the rest of your squad goes off, and so that's another thing to remember is that there are quarterbacks with outsized risk based on the price. I think some of these cheaper back end guys can be viable, but I will probably tend towards the teams having rookie quarterbacks that are, like Bo Nix is not at risk to be benched week 17. He might suck, but he's not getting benched. Whereas, a guy like Geno, a guy like Russ, a guy like Fields, a guy like Derek Carr, Houston, David Carr, potentially, like those guys are who you're more concerned about with. Like last year, you were concerned about Howell crushed, but then he was benched, for week 17, unbenched for the final. Like, so crazy stuff can happen.
It's crazy.
And that's one of the other benefits of having 3 stacked quarterbacks is it lowers your likelihood of being, completely behind the 8 ball.
With the 0 quarterback situation.
Yeah. The nice thing though is Underdog has made the payouts flatter, so the punishment for getting on the wrong side of variance in week 17 is lessened than it has been the last few years.
Right. Well, I'm impressed. I mean, to have, what did you say, 6 finals appearances and then all those top drafters, that sounds like a hell of a best ball season you're trying to run back on this year, huh?
I'll take less finals for more money.
Yeah. Okay.
I made all those finals and I was still in the red on the year on draft on Underdog again because
Okay.
the payout structures are
Right. And that's why
brutal.
it's important to look at payout structures, advance rate, all those things. That's my biggest thing this year.
Contest
Contest
selection
selection.
and
Yep.
1110 and Pete Overzet are very effusive
Mhm.
of be mindful of the types of contests you're involved in. Last year, I tried to do a lot of those like Dalmatians and mid stakes leagues.
Mhm.
I did not diversify the types of players on those teams, and so lots of Geno Smith and Daniel Jones sank those very nice payout structure, advanced structure teams. So another reason to like have your guys, but diversify the builds.
Within the type of tournaments too.
Because
Yeah.
the leverage downside, especially in those like softer advanced structures, like you want to take advantage of a good advancement structure when you can, and that's probably not ideal to have 5 of the same teams in a 5 entry contest, because if you lose all 5, you've kind of lost the benefit of the contest itself. So just a good reminder for myself that you can have your stands and player takes, but and Sacrilegious talks a lot about this on Legendary Upside
Mhm.
and ship chasing community of diversity is saying make your stands happen in more diverse lineups. And so if you've got like 3 players you have to have, well, just make sure those aren't happening on like 80% of the same roster. Like mix up the
Right.
quarterbacks that they're with, mix up the tight ends that they're with, because
Combos
you don't
and
want
yeah.
one big blow up messing up the rest of. And so like I famously had like 20% Kyron and 12% Puka, but a lot of those teams were dead on impact because I had like 40% Daniel Jones and 30% Geno Smith. So you don't want to like sink your edge unnecessarily.
Right. Yeah. I wrote an article, 2 articles, what I thought I did well last year, and want to do more of, what I did wrong and want to do less of. And to speak to your point really quick, I kind of went overweight on some early guys like a Nick Chubb, that I need to, just kind of scale back the exposure when they're that high, and then kind of I won't be afraid to scale it up. But also to speak to what you said, also really watching that combinations that you have with the guys that you're so heavy on, to, like you said, make sure you're not having certain guys or team, just absolutely sink what is a really strong take, so I totally agree with
And
that.
I'm already having to fight that through 300 drafts since
Uh-huh.
January. I already have my preferred versions of quarterbacks and players, and I'm like,
Okay, so we'll end the show with, if you had your perfect draft, who is your top quarterback stack then? Who are you leaving with?
oh, I have so much Kyler to McBride. That's
Okay,
like my
Kyler
highest
McBride. Okay.
combo player. Yeah.
Okay, gotcha. Gotcha. The draft I leave the happiest is if I get the Lamb Dak. That's like right now my
Yeah,
favorite.
well, I mean, ideally right now it's Lamb,
But
Dak, and
that's obviously
Ferguson. It's Lamb and Dak and Ferguson after ADP. So like I can
yeah.
like screw them up at the turn. I'm also not mad about
Yeah, it's hard to get all 3 of them sometimes without reaching.
well, yeah, getting all 3 of those is probably like the preferred stack, just
Yeah,
because your single week touchdown upside at all 3 positions is insanely high, and the cost makes it so non-prohibitive
right.
compared to some of their counterparts. So that one's really nice. I really like that. I think as far as QB upside and tight end upside, McBride and Kyler are. I think Kyler for sure is mispriced, and
Yeah.
I'm gonna have a lot of him as long as he's going below the 6th round where he was going right next to Hurts 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Um, so I'm good with that, especially
I
now
like
he's got
that.
a generational wide receiver prospect, but somehow he's being taken behind Joe Burrow. I think that's wrong.
Okay, I like that. That's a good way to go out. To tell them again, Tyler, where they can find you, and then we'll get out of here on this Friday holiday weekend.
I am emo__ cowboy on Twitter. A lot of you probably know that. But I stream with Tom Strachan over on the Fantasy Sanctuary Monday afternoons, 4 Central, 5 Eastern. We do a BBM show. Go subscribe, any promise to the people, any video that gets 100 likes, the full emo cowboy look goes live on stream. We're
I love
talking
it.
emo eyeliner, the bangs down the eyes, and trust me, these bangs go low. You got black cowboy hat. It'll be the full thing for any video that gets 100 likes. We're gonna
I
have a
love
bunch of
it.
giveaways coming. We just had a couple recently. I have some fun marathon stream ideas on the weekends coming up. It's going to be a very fun weekend, and you get the only international cross pond Best Ball
That's
Mania
true.
show with Texas and the UK. You know, Brexit happened, and we had to bridge literal oceans
Yeah.
to get this done. So come check us out at the Fantasy Sanctuary, and I will be guest streaming wherever people have me on, because for whatever reason people want me on. So I'll
They
come
of course
say
want
hey.
you on. This has been elite. This has been absolutely wonderful to have you on. That's hysterical. No, this has been wonderful to have you on. And speaking of like live streams, Andrew and I are talking about building out some live streams too. So hopefully we can rotate. You know, maybe we can jump on yours. You and Tom can jump on ours. And like we said at the top of the show, this is just such an awesome best ball community that interacts so well with each other, and we're all kind of sharing takes and information, which helps a lot. So this has been absolutely awesome. Thank you so much, Tyler. Thank you to everybody in the chat. You guys have been absolutely amazing too. So for Tyler, I'm Meg. Have a great holiday weekend, and we will see you next time.